Hello, family. My name is Robert. I'm an addict. I'm glad to be here again at Camp Mac. I ain't just glad. I'm thrilled. And I say that because some of us was here last year that couldn't make it this year for whatever reasons, and for that I'm grateful. This topic is pretty simple for me. I know getting outside of myself when I first got in the program was one of the things that I had to pay attention to, and I'm glad my first sponsor got me involved in service work. So I suggest to anybody new, if you're struggling with the program for any good reason, service work will be a good entity to your recovery. Because, of course, we all self-centered. Oh, maybe it's just me. I was real angry when I got to the program, because one of the things I've been sharing and I've shared throughout the years is that I need to always remember how I felt when I first got here. Because it strengthens me today when I look back and reflect back on the struggles I had when I got here. I felt like I wasn't a fit. I couldn't fit in the program. I felt like a misfit. I thought I had did more drugs than probably anybody in the rooms. When y'all was through, I was still trying to put it in me. You know what I'm saying? So I went, my bottom was real deep. And so when I got in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, I didn't know whether I was going to stay or not. But I did all the necessary things it took to stay here. And that was to get a home group, to find a sponsor. My sponsor got me in service real early. He got me an H&I. And I'm grateful for that guy today that invited me to come do service work with him in my first year. And I didn't know what it was going to lead up to, but I found out that I still remember the times when, after I got my home group, really I'm still in the same home group that I started out in. You see it written here, Recovery on the Quinda. I'm grateful to be to sit up here today and say that I've been a member of my home group for 19 years and I haven't found a new home group. Yeah. Now, it's been times that I pull up in the parking lot and I really feel like y'all don't want to see me no more. You know what I'm saying? The disease of addiction put pressure on you sometime when you get old up in there. And the new too. And but this is the part that we have to do is learn about your disease, find out what you're a carrier of, and be able to combat your disease. Fight back, Don't give in, fight back. Because it'll tell you things. I always talk about these little people in my head. You know what I'm saying? They stay busy. They like to talk a lot, and they want me to listen. You know what I'm saying? And follow directions. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times I have to turn them off and keep it moving. I say service work works because I had to find out what it was going to take for Robert to stay here. And when I found my home group, Recovery on the Quinda, it was close. It was simple. I could walk there because at first I wasn't sure if I was going to ever be driving a car. I didn't know. Y'all the one told me I could get a car later. But at the time they're coming out of treatment, it was like that was rather foreign because I had no driver's license. I hadn't drove a car in a while, a long time. And so walking was pretty good for me, going somewhere positive. So I made that my home group and I got involved in service. They say you're going to grab a coffee pot, do some service work. And the feeling of getting outside of our self-centeredness is what this is really all about. This topic is really all about. And I done that, And today I'm the oldest member at my home group. And they still come to me. And I point them to my sponsor. I say, ask him. Some days I don't even go to my home group on Sunday because I know my sponsor And if you come to Recovery on the Quinta in the East area on Sunday at 8 o'clock in the Detroit area, we're going to give you a hug. At the door, you'll see that guy right there with that red shirt on. Most of the time, he in his seat. You know, and he will welcome you and give you a hug. And we usually have a female to also hug too. And those are some of the things that I wanted to contribute to the home group. And so we started making different decisions on what to do. Then we started putting on events and helping us get outside ourselves. And one of the things we do on Recovery on the Quinta is when we invite people to become a member of that home group, we put them into service work right away. You know, I got involved in service work right away at my home group. And it helped Robert to build a foundation. And I remember when I was young in the program, it would be snowing, it'd be cold. I would be there 30 minutes early, standing on the steps, because I didn't know where else to go. And I was there. And that was helping me get outside of myself. And I encourage you, if you knew, don't wait till somebody asks you to do service work. Move somebody out the way. You know what I'm saying? Just move them out the way. If you really want to try to stay in these rooms, you got to get outside of yourself. Because you won't stay here if you just into you. It ain't going to work. That's the reason why this thing really works spiritually. This reason why it works is because the people that keep it working is the people that's getting outside of self-centeredness. All you have to do is ask yourself how long you've been using and why you use so long. You know, we use because couldn't nobody stop us from using. You know, and today, and service work, you're going to get some licks upside the head too. You know, because people ain't going to like you if you're doing service work. They don't like you if you ain't doing service work. You know, just roll with it. I know one thing, in 19 years, y'all ain't put me out of here. I ain't going nowhere. Y'all can talk about me. You know what I'm saying? You know, but I'm having a blast in Narcotics Anonymous, man. Part of service work for me is getting outside of being a parent. You know, parenting ain't easy. It ain't easy, man. Especially when you got a son 18 years talking to you like you his son. You know what I'm saying? Damn, hold up. Something wrong with this picture. I called him and I asked him, I say, well, how come I can't get you on the telephone? There you go again, but you can't get me. Like, who am I talking to? This is the same little boy I brought to Camp Mac. But he 18 now. So, getting outside of myself and humbling myself to say, you know what? I'm not going to let him knock me off my square. And that's the challenge. That's the growth that we get. That's the things that I help my sponsor help me. And I like to say, if you don't have a sponsor, I don't know what you're waiting on. Because you need somebody to help you guide you in this process. And I believe this. I believe selflessness is staying close to the people in the fellowship. Now, that might not sound like that mean a lot, but we have to stay close to one another. Read your literature. It says stay close to the fellowship. Now, maybe you don't understand what close mean. Close mean close. Because the disease of addiction will pull you away because we want you to isolate. Some of us in this room right now might be feeling like they're isolating. So the disease is real cunning. You know what I'm saying? And I know that. And in any opportunity that it will get to have you separate yourself, and then you can separate yourself so much that you'll find yourself not being connected. So in my time that I've been here, and my continuous time, I have to stay connected because I had found myself separating myself from my step study group, from my sponsor, because I was just like, you know, it was something came over me last month and a half or so ago, and I had to get connected, man. I said, I don't know what it is, it's something pulling me away. But the disease of addiction is patient. It's very patient. It don't have no respect for clean time. So again, I have to fight back. I found out something about this disease. In the last month, I found out that this is the way the disease was trying to get to me. Was trying to pull me away from y'all. It said you got enough recovery. You don't need them as much as you've been needing them. And I was about to buy into it. I had started skipping my home group. Not just say skip. I just chose not to go. You know what I'm saying? But I had to go and take an assessment of myself and take my own inventory and say, Robert, take a look at everything that's going on. And God revealed to me, he said, Robert, you into a state of isolation. Yeah. This disease will do that. And man, when I really discovered that's what it was, Connie, I got busy. You know what I'm saying? I started pulling up, literature, reading again, and getting back in the square of my foundation. Reason why I love my home group, because it keeps me involved in knowing that this disease is still out to kill me. And I go to my home group because it's like something is telling me that you've been going to that group long enough. You've been seeing the same faces long enough. It's all that long enough stuff coming up. You know what I mean? It's like, man, come on, when do y'all give me a break? I stick hearing the same tape, man, in my head. And so it want to boggle me down. And then God will place a newcomer at our home group, right? And he say, Robert, here's your work, nurture. And that's what I've been doing for the last 19 years at my home group. I nurture people. I help nurture people. I help do what I can to keep people to stay. And a lot of times that might sound like, oh, that's some boring stuff. But that's my job in Narcotics Anonymous. If you come on Recovery on Laquinda, we will snatch you in if you give us an opportunity. Because the hit is, in closing, is our main concern is to invite people any kind of way we can to keep them to stay here. If we ain't doing that, we is not doing our job. I mean, we have fun and we travel, we do whatever we do. You can buy cars, boats, helicopters, we don't care what you buy. But when it's all said and done, our primary purpose is only care domestic addict who still suffer, because that's all we had to give. And when we're doing that, we're doing our job. It would have been shameful, man, for me to come to a home group and find out that I wasn't happy or wasn't satisfied to be there. They made me very satisfied. And I'm grateful 19 years ago for the people who was there when I got there. They opened their arms up to me because I had shot dope and I was looking so bad I was like, don't nobody want to be bothered with me. I didn't feel y'all wanting to be bothered with me. But y'all made me feel welcome. And that's what our job is to do, is to make people feel welcome. After you do that, then you cool. For 2 hours, 2, 4, 6, 8 hours out of a month. That's what I do. I come to Recovery on Laquinda. That's not asking a whole lot. And that's what keeps me buoyant. That's what keeps me coming back. That's what keeps Robert W. wanting to keep coming back, man. Because I enjoy watching a seed be planted in here. And watch us nurture and keep the weeds out from around you. You know what I'm saying? So we can watch you grow up in here. I got a sponsor. He out there fishing his ass off right now. Right? I mean, he was almost about to jump in the lake earlier. Double one. I could tell he was enjoying that. You know what I'm saying? And that gave me a whole lot of joy to see him be so excited, man. He got about 19 months now. He got 19 months in the program. I'm talking about Robert W. getting an opportunity to see somebody, man, that come ask me to sponsor them, And I'm talking about this man spent 20-something years in the penitentiary. And now he like one of them butterflies in the fellowship. You see him out there. His name Norman. He got key tags hanging off his chain, man. He got 19 months and he proud as hell. You know what I'm talking about? And that just does, every time I see him, man, you know, that just, you know, because I see how serious he is about staying clean. And he was up there, we spilled the bucket of the cooler a while ago with ice and water. And he was up in the bathroom, man. He was cleaning up, man. And I was like, Norman, let me do something. He was trying to get to that lake. I know they were trying to get to that lake. He was trying to get to that lake, man. But, you know, I think I've talked enough. I just want to continue to ask God to keep me healthy. It's only through y'all grace and through God's grace and mercy that I'm even able to be here, be breathing. And if you ain't gave God some credit today, man, just give him a little credit, man. Because it's only through his grace and mercy. Some people, man, is hurting right now. Some people is hungry right now. Some people out of jobs right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about for real, man. It's just like we just look cleaned up around here, man. It's really tight out there. It's really tight out there. You know what I'm saying? And it's affecting. It's like a ripple effect that's taking place, man. So with all that, knowing all that, I cannot avoid all that. I can know it's beautiful, it's wonderful up here and all that, man. But I know that our job up here is to grow with love this weekend. Hug people. You see somebody, just reach out and hug them. You ain't got to wait till they hug you. Hug them. Because due to the nature of this disease, we might not see each other no more. And I believe that. I think that's the whole reason why Robert W. keep coming back and bringing somebody that had this experience is because it's something that it's something that you can keep to the next year. The love, the touch, the hugs, the laughter, the tears, the cry. You know what I'm saying? The ooh-wees, the ooh. Damn, man, ooh. You know what I'm talking about? All that, man. I need all that. I need that. That's my food. That's what I need. I look at the smiles, you know, people smiling like they ain't, you know, when you at home, you don't smile much, but you come up here, we just smiling and shit. Hi. You know what I'm talking about? Hi. That shit is good. You know, it's good. It's really good stuff. You know, it's good stuff to get a good laugh, man. It's nurturing, you know, so I'm a real frightened and insecure person, man. And it's been like that. And it probably won't ever go away. So when you see me standing up here, don't think I'm all that. It's a lot of insecurities in my life. I just do it one day at a time. And the gift is I don't use no dope. No matter what come down the pipe, I learned that I got enough to stand on. I got a sponsor. I got sponsees today. Those are the people that I stay connected to. Because it's a two-way street. My sponsor know, man, I ain't no real thick guy. I'm thin, real thin, you know. And I when I'm around here, I be acting like I'm all tough and shit. but my sponsor know who Robert is. He know Robert W. And he know I'm thin. My skin is thin. And I know it's all right for me to know he know that. And I stick close by him. And I love him. More than I can ever say I love him. I love it, man. And ain't nothing he can ask me for I won't do. And that's just because I believe in sponsorship. I believe in it. I believe it, and if you don't believe in it, try it and see don't it work. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is going to be Connie. Yay.
Thanks. My name's Connie. I'm an addict, and I'm truly grateful to be here. This is my first time here.
Welcome.
And nervous as hell too. Selflessness. Of course, you know, this I thought this was just not a good topic for me to talk about because I'm spoiled. And, spoiled people are very selfish, And I'm like, well, what do I know about selflessness? And so I looked it up in the dictionary. It says, I'm going to go blank. It says having or showing devotion to others' welfare. So the first thing that popped into my mind was service work. But everything that popped in my mind after that, because, I was trying to go to sleep and I was nervous then, so my mind is racing. It was everything that this program teaches us. It's reaching out to newcomers, but not forgetting our predecessors, because sometimes they need us to reach out to them too. Answering the phone, even when you don't feel like it, and doing 12-step calls and all that. And service work, somebody being there when you walk in. The doors were open and there was somebody to greet me when I came in, and that meant a lot to me because I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere. I didn't fit in the street because I was too soft for the street. I didn't think I was then, but But I didn't feel like I fit in here either because I didn't know what you people were talking about. I didn't understand it. I didn't think that truly y'all were clean. Like you didn't take no drugs, You must smoke weed or something, because you just can't be like totally drug free. I just can't fathom that. Selflessness to me is, or when I think of selflessness, when I pray to do God's will, and if I stay out of God's way, then I'm striving for selfless acts. To reach out and help somebody when I'm in pain. It could be selfish because it helps me to forget my pain, but it also can help them. So when I think of selflessness, I think of God's will for my life, what I'm supposed to be doing with my life, sharing new experiences and enjoying new experiences. Like most of us, when we were in like a 5-block radius or whatever, I never thought I'd leave Washtenaw County. Except for to run to Detroit once in a while, But I didn't like it there either. So to be able to experience new things and enjoy new things and remember new things. Remember who you went with, what you did, Because there's a lot of things I can't remember, So, I don't know, when I think of selflessness, I just think of God. And I think of this program because this is what it teaches us. It teaches us to help others. It teaches us to carry a message that if I can do it, you can too. I might not have been the worst dope fiend in the world, but I sure wasn't the best one, or I wouldn't be here. We all have our horror stories. And, to share those with somebody else and say you don't have to experience that. I try to share with my daughter. She's 19 and she's got the weed fascination going on. And so I try to share my concerns with her. And she's like, just because you an addict don't mean I am. And then I got to turn around and leave the room because I want to strangle her. Because I'm not all the way well. Really, I'm not. And I have elderly parents who are very demanding, and and my dad is real short and rude, and and sometimes I just have to smile at him and walk away too, But that's service. That's what Robert said. Robert said, you're doing service at home, And I never thought of it that way. I might be doing service because I haven't strangled that old man or my daughter yet, but right, miracles happen in Narcotics Anonymous. To get out of self when I don't want to, because a lot of times I don't want to. I just like to be in my own little bubble, and that's where I'm comfortable, and that's where I like to stay. talking about going to a convention and camp in Indiana. I'm like, wait, but, there's John R. on Friday night, To be able to go and enjoy new experiences. I don't know. I'm just really nervous and I'm kind of blank, and I can't talk as long as you can. I'm just grateful to be here. Thanks.
I'm an addict named Jim. Our chair has stepped out of the room for a minute, but if anybody else would like to get up and talk on the subject, have at it. We have time.
This will be taped. If you don't want to be taped, please let me know so I can stop the tape. With that, the floor is open.
Come on, sponsor. No sponsor.
Hi, family. My name's Robert. I'm an addict. Okay. I hadn't decided. You're pushing me up here, so I've learned over the years that you never refuse Narcotics Anonymous, and I'm just grateful. I was just listening to Rob talk about our home group. Thank God for our home group. And like he said, that my post is right there at the door. You don't get a hug whether you want one or not. I learned that, and it just amazes me sometimes. People come down the stairs and when they don't want a hug, but I understand. I remember, I remember that hug and, how I felt when I got that first real hug. I got my first real hug, I think it was 90 or 91 in Midland, Michigan. After the main speaker, female came up and hugged me, and when she got done, she said, "Thank you." And I remember that because I felt something, and it made me think that I'll never take a hug for granted anymore. A hug means something, It was a hug. It wasn't anything sexual. It was nothing. Because it was a female, it was a hug. So I know how important that is today, to hug somebody, to embrace. That's why I take it real serious when somebody comes out of our home group. You need a hug. You need to give me a hug. And you're going to get a smile too. But that's what it's all about, giving back. Like Rob said, our home group does a lot of things. We really cater to the newcomer. We have newcomer today in the parking lot with some chips and hot dogs and just make people feel welcome, Somebody welcomed me. How dare I not help somebody else, And this is what this is all about. Getting outside of self, getting up here and doing something and don't want nothing in return. Bottom line. That's why I like coming up to Camp Mac. I look forward to this every year. It's something about entering that gate. It's something about looking at that lake. I woke up this morning and I looked out the window and I seen the moon and the reflection on the lake. I said, wow, this is it. It don't get no better than this. It don't get no better than this. And the weather's nice and the people and the smiles and the hugs. Wow. You can't put a price tag on this, and I'm just glad to be a part of it. I'm glad it still makes sense to make conventions and make meetings and just stay involved. Thank God for my sponsors. Thank God for my sponsees. It keeps me buoyant. Because I'll isolate, and I'll get that phone call about, you want to make a meeting? I'm locked into the basketball game, and I think to myself, now what's more important? It'll be another game, But that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. We help each other. This ain't no joke. Somebody said it earlier today. This ain't no joke. People's lives are at stake. You know, I need to come here and spread the hope. Somebody was there for me when I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be here. Somebody said, you can do this. I couldn't imagine myself not using nothing. What do you mean? You don't drink beer? Nothing. Now I can tell my friends when I stop and see them when they see me at the gas station, you don't do nothing? You don't drink? Yeah, Kool-Aid and water. And, yeah. It's okay. And not only that, I don't have to explain a lot. I just tell them what it is, and if they agree, that's good. If they don't, then I know what I need to do. I need to be around you guys. You know, this is my family. You know, this is my weekend. You know, you gonna get a hug? I need a hug. You know, I need that smile. You know, I just need you to be there. You know, just seeing the faces. You know, I talked about it earlier. A lot of faces aren't here this year that I'm so used to seeing. Celebrate the people that's here. You know, meet new faces. I see new people. You know, and if it's God's grace, then I'll see you next year. You know, but I'm just blessed, you guys. Glad you're part of my life. Thanks.
I'm Roxanne and I'm an addict. Thank you. I guess my husband thought it was time for me to speak. So, no, something that he just said made me think about when he said, "You mean you don't drink nothing? You don't take nothing?" I had a doctor appointment shortly before I came here, just a couple days before, and new doctor. I got a disability and stuff, you know, the whole military thing, and so, you know, asking all those tough questions and blah blah blah, and you know, do you drink? Blah blah blah. How much do you drink? I said, no, I don't drink. She goes, oh. And then not shortly after that, I was in there about an hour or so. She asked me 3 times, and the third time I said, the last time I had a drink was October 20th of 2008. And she looked at me, and she says, how do you know that was the last time you had a drink? I said it was the day my twins turned 21. And that was out of relapse. I came to the fellowship when my twins were 18 because they were court ordered. And I thought the only way I was going to get them there was to take them. You know, because I was still in denial and I was still enabling. Because I could take care of this problem they had with drugs and alcohol if I could just get them there and get them out of the, you know, jail and get the felonies wiped off. You know, all that kind of stupid stuff we think and that little man talking in our head. After the first meeting and we were leaving, and one of my sons said to me, okay, Mom, so when are you going to admit you're an addict? I'll remember the day like it was yesterday. I cried a lot. And the next meeting I came to with them, I said, I'm an addict. I know what it's like to have children at that 18-year-old level. And that was the first time that I really understood selflessness. But it wasn't the kind, at first, that we're talking about where you are doing service work and all those kind of things. It was hard selflessness. It was hard because I had to let go. Because they had to be responsible and take whatever was coming to them. And I couldn't bail them out anymore. And at that time, then I started to understand about recovery for myself, because I wasn't going to be good for anybody unless I understood myself in recovery. And I feel very blessed for the people in my home group. My hometown's about 18,000 people, and my home group has 8 meetings a week. And if you come to my home group, it's called Light at the End of the Tunnel, at a business meeting, the average attendance at a business meeting is 20 people. My home group believes in unity and selflessness and service. And we believe in getting the newcomer into service work. And when I came there, within the first year, I was the lit chair. But of course, back then, you're still in that whole thing. Well, I'll take on a commitment as long as it's not too much. Not too much of my time, not too much of anything, right? Well, they say, well, this is a good one for you then, because you know what? You just got to make sure before each business meeting you have the inventory, and so we know what we need to buy, and you show up at the business meeting. I thought, okay, this is like a once a month thing. I can handle this, right? Well, for some reason, my addict mind was thinking like it shouldn't be, always thinking. I forgot that at that time we didn't have it all in one location. And I had to go to all the locations and count everything and make sure there was everything. But I was really lucky because there were people in the fellowship that were willing to give me their time and show that selflessness and show me how to do it. And when I gave up that position, the first thing I wanted to look for was someone that was a newcomer that had the same idea. I'll make a commitment, but it better not be too much. Because I remember what that felt like. And I wanted other people to understand, though, how much I grew in that year. And how much I understood what you were talking about with how service work get you outside of yourself and get you connected with people on a different level in the fellowship and not just sitting in meetings and things like that. And then there came the whole time with the sponsors and all that kind of stuff and trying to decide, how do you do that? And I struggled with some of that, trying to find the sponsor that fit me. And it wasn't until that I got strong in the program and after my relapse that I realized I wanted what the men in my fellowship had, that the women didn't have. We had a lot of women with clean time, but that's all they had. They didn't have sponsors. They didn't have step work. They would take on sponsees. I just got a call on the way here. I was stopped on the bike at a gas station. I can't hear my phone on the bike, but for some reason my phone is on. I hear it. And a woman from a different home group that I attend called me and says, I need a sponsor. I need a different sponsor. And I'm like, what's wrong with the one you got? And she said, well, she's got 11 years clean, but I've been trying to do step 4 for 3 months, and every time I ask her a question, she says, well, you'll have to call someone else because I've never done the steps. I've never done the steps. You know what? I get goosebumps and chills right now. Just thinking about that. And I remember with this new sponsor I have early in the relationship, I asked her, well, I had these other sponsors. Well, how many sponsors do you think I should have? Should I call you if someone wants me to sponsor? And she says, hon, you take on as many as you want. She says, because I feel it's an honor anytime you ask. I says, well, everybody keeps telling me don't take on more than you can handle and balance and all that kind of stuff. And she says, if your higher powers are working in your life, you will have balance. He won't give you more than you can handle. And she said, there's that certain percentage that'll never work it. That'll just be those phone people every now and then going in and out. She said, he won't give you more than you can handle. And so I think she was really shocked because most of the women in my home group have always said, you got to talk to your sponsor. You can only take on so many and those kind of things. And because she said you can take on as many as you want, I said, I'll meet you on Wednesday. I'm off this next Wednesday. We'll sit down because I tell people in the fellowship and I hand out that little sponsor IP. I say, before you want me to be your sponsor, I want you to interview me. Because I had 2 sponsors and a half, 2.5, because I caught my spouse who did a little time for me when I was searching for the one I have now, which we know is just, it was okay for the short time we did it. But I learned that because I didn't interview my sponsor, I didn't know what I wanted or needed, or what she expected of me, or what I expected of her. So today I tell sponsees, I said, if you want me to sit down with you or someone that's new to the fellowship, and I'll say, I'm not telling you to be my sponsor or me to be your sponsor and my sponsee, but you need to sit down and make a list of questions you want to ask her. And then you tell her, that when you meet together, that you want her to make a list of questions. When I got to the sponsor, my husband came with me because I have to drive 2.5 hours to see my sponsor. And when we got there the first time and I had this interview with her, first thing she said to me, I'm saying, well, I've done steps 1, 2, and 3 4 times, so I don't think I need to do them again. She says, okay. What are the spiritual principles of the first step, and tell me how you use them in your life today? My husband got up and said, okay, I think we've got this problem under control. I'll go outside and you guys have a good time. Because he worked the program, he could answer the question, and he knew exactly where she was coming from. And me, after working steps 1, 2, and 3 times, went, I couldn't answer it. No matter, I had read that thing, I'd sat with people, I had done all stuff, but I didn't know it. So today, my self-centeredness and all those other things are being honest and open with my character defects. That's how I'm selfless. And building that foundation, step 1, 2, and 3. You can't build it strong enough, big enough, hard enough to that higher point of freedom that we get from our bigger, stronger, that pyramid effect, when you get that strong, then all the steps build on that, and that's where your higher point of freedom comes from. And so that's what NE is for me today, and how I work on my self-centeredness and selflessness. So thanks. That's all I got.
Hello everybody, I'm Mike. I am an addict. How I know I'm an addict, man, because I hear and see myself and everybody up here, everybody here. Well, with me on selflessness, you know what, I like to start off as, with me and my experience, strength, and hope through learning this area. When I was out there, I was very selfish. I'd done a lot of things that, everything that I did was self-centered and it was selfish. In relationships, I didn't know that there is another part. I always thought about me. I didn't know there was another person, and plainly, I didn't really care. I always wondered why my relationships were unmanageable. My disease kept me into my own thinking in a closed box. Relationships there with my parents, with girlfriends, with friends, I isolate a lot. I stayed within myself. And I feel that without me being so selfish in my disease, I have to take it and spin it off, and I have to learn from my mistakes, and my wrongdoings and all the pain and all the hurt that my disease caused me. And that's what these 12 steps help me do. It helps me look at the negative of what I was and how the problem of what it was, and it gives me a solution. The solution is usually the opposite. So the opposite of selflessness is selflessness. My disease, one of the biggest things that I've done that was so selfish, and I realized it today, was, my disease wanted to kill me. It did pretty well. I tried, my disease got me down to my knees where I was so hopeless and I wanted to kill myself, and I attempted. And, that's pretty sad, to feel that way. And I just have to get honest with it, because I couldn't feel the pain that everybody in my family felt. How selfish that would have been to go there and to kill myself and thinking it's all about me, man. My life, me, my feelings. Poor me, So the opposite of that is realizing it today that it's just not about me, There's a lot of other people that I affect, and if the disease would have got it and took what it wanted, my life, because it wouldn't stop. It ain't gonna stop until it has me. I realize, accept this. So I have to do everything I can, and the opposite of selfless is be selfless. And I have to do things. A lot of it has to do with humility to me. It reminds me of that. Stepping myself out and not making myself better than anybody else. I'm just the same as you are to me. You know what I'm saying? And I have to realize I have to stay humble, and a lot of that keeps me humble, and I practice that, that spiritual principle of humility is to reach out. And you know what, the saddest fact of it is, if you really think about it, last night, I'll give you 2 examples. Like last night, man, I couldn't sleep. I was down here by the campgrounds, people tents, and they're having a great time. I couldn't sleep, so I got up. It's like 1 o'clock. I go over by the campfire, and there's another addict there. I'm talking to him, and we're just, I was isolating all day, man. My disease got me, feeling lonely and sad, and I started obsessing and compulsing on that. And I know it was wrong, but you know what? Today I can react a little different today. You know, I can say, you know what? I got to do something different. So I went over to this guy. He was all by himself by the fire. I sat down, I started talking to him, you know, and we had a really good conversation. Another guy came down, another addict. You know, he said he got a winning ticket here of some kind. And I was like, wow, man, cool. Because I barely had enough money to get here myself. So, you know, we ended up talking a little bit. And what I'm trying to get at there is I got out of myself for that hour I was there, man. And the thing is, by getting out of myself and speaking just in my experience, strength, and hope, you know, because that's all I can share on, man. You know, my opinion, you know, everyone's got one. That ain't going to help nobody. You know, who knows if, you know, I could kill somebody with my opinion. So all I do, you know, all I have to tell myself is, you know what, I'm just going to talk about what I know, my pain, my hurt, and my experiences and what I'm learning through the 12 steps and what I is taught to me by people like you know, people through that's been there, has got more time than me. And you know what, I just sat there and I shared on it's kind of funny how those first 3 steps, you know, the first, the second, and third really is the foundation, and I can really throw that out there in my life, and it helps me. Anyway, I had a really good time. And the thing is, and it kind of leads into selflessness, is me by speaking and sharing and talking and getting out of myself and getting to know another addict and listening to his problems and getting out of there, you know, it helps me. It really helps me a lot to get out of myself and to know that I help somebody else. And in return, it is kind of selfish because I'm helping myself. But I'm not doing that for that motive. I'm doing it to help somebody else. And in return, God's blessing me by making me feel good in the process. So, you know, also I just like to share on one more part. I did some H&I the other last week, and that was really, really inspiring to me. I ended up, somebody called me up that night, asked me to come and do some service work, and I said, you know what, okay. But the first thing that came to my mind is fear. Am I going to say the right thing, you know? Am I going to be okay? You know, because I got issues too, man. You know, I'm not confident, you know. I'm a humble guy, you know. I try not to think of myself as better than anybody else and walk around what I'm not, you know. That's what the program's teaching me, is to be who I am and to be some self-acceptance and love myself for what I am, who I am, to quit living a lie, you know. And that lie for me was the disease making me do things that wasn't me. So anyway, I went and did this H&I, and you know, I went to this institution that I came from, and I was sitting in the chair where I was really, I was sitting at when I was hopeless, and I was right there asking for help, man, asking for somebody to help me because I was hopeless in my life, and it was a life or death thing for me, and I have to be very grateful and keep that in the back of my head all the time. Is this ain't no game, man. This stuff right here for me is life or death, because what got me here, it was either death or it was a chance of hope to live a better quality of life. And you know, I don't take it for granted. But you know what? I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect, so you know my disease gets at me, and you know, but all I can do is go back to where I found my first hope. And anyway, this place is my first hope. This institution that gave me the 12 steps fellowship. They came in. You know, they came in. NA came in and they spoke to me, and I remember this still. And I got to give back, and I got to share, and it really felt really good to get out of myself and to know maybe I just helped one person. And you know what? And with that, you know, there's nothing better out there than to help somebody else out, because it makes me know that there's a greater purpose in this world than just me. You know, who am I? You know, I'm important too, but you know what? Everybody else is too. And my higher power loves me, so my higher power wants me to love everybody else. So that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nora, and I'm an addict. And I'm kind of like fairly new in the program, and I want to tell the young members, just like the older members, that is true in that book what it said, that we don't never have to use again, because I, you know, done went through a lot of stuff this month, and I didn't pick up, you know. I had a death in the family. My auntie had a heart attack, and my mother got diagnosed with cancer. I was in the same month, and I did not use. You know, I just want to say it is hope in this program. to the older members, I really appreciate y'all, Because it took an older member to tell me to set my tail down. That hard love y'all had, if I was came in 19, I believe I would have went out. But I'm glad I came when I did. Because an old timer with some years told me, sit your down. And I was like, what? And I was grateful. I love you. I love what you said. Service work, do. I came in the fellowship doing service work. First, I started service work in the treatment center. When the folks told me to get up at 7 o'clock, make the bed up, be in group, I was right there. If it didn't, I had some consequences. I said, what is that? No vis, no on the phone, none of that. I said, wow, I better do what these people tell me to do. So I started my service in the treatment center. I really did. I started helping them, opening the meeting, pass out literature, run copies off for the group and stuff. I really did. Got up, made a bed. I didn't know how to make up no bed, girl. What? They said 7 o'clock I had a bed made. I said, what kind of stuff is this? I didn't come here for that. I come to get clean. They said, you got to get responsible. So when they told me to do that, I did it, made my bed up. Didn't know how to make it up. Clothes, I had to learn how to do stuff all over again at the age of 47. I came here in 07 and ain't looked back. And from each year, I'm telling the newcomers, I'm telling y'all, since 07, every year I done had a death in my family. And I haven't went to the dope house. I had all kinds of feelings now. And this place here, I want to say, this place is awesome. My first time here, I'm telling you, I went to that tree out there. I cried. That tree it was just so spiritual. If anybody went to the tree, I was trying to get information about the tree yesterday, but they wouldn't give it to me. They said, you got to go to experience this. And when I went, it just took something. I'm telling you, it's beautiful here. I love it. See, ash and stuff went out there in the water. If I would have been at a convention, I've been trying to look cute with makeup on, all that. I'm being myself here. I love it. I'm just being honest. This place here, I was talking to his sponsor. I love old timers. I said, maybe I'm going to start saving up change in a can so I can come back each year. Because, see, I can remember I couldn't even get up 50 cents to get a buzz. I'm finna start coming to something that I love. This here NA thing, I'm just here to tell you, I don't care. I love NA. Because it don't say Lenore life. Because I was a hopeless case, baby, and I thought I had it going on. I didn't have nothing going on until I got here. Thought I was fooling people, lying. I thought that was what really happening. Tell like you said, get you somebody that gonna help you work them steps. Cause when I first worked my step, I thought I had it going on. I'm telling you, my spot, I'm gonna close it. Embarrass me in the meet. She said, go right on this. I said, okay. Went in there, got a little tablet. Gave it to her in the meeting like I done did something big. And she was sitting there just reading it. And she read. Then she said, oh, by the way, my sponsor, you can come get this bullshit you don't just wrote me. I said, what? I went up there and snatched the paper. Get my paper, you crazy lady. I got something for you. I'm going to go home and sit down and rewrite. And I'm going to bring you something back. And ever since then, she was like, okay. She embarrassed me talking this little piece of paper. What you think this is? Come and get this bullshit. That's what she told me. I said, what? Because I wouldn't be in there. I was just writing off some stuff and had a long page, about 4 or 5 pages back to back. You know them little tabs? I done filled it up, front and back, 5 pages. She just ain't nothing but some surface stuff. Talk about the real stuff, what's really hurting me, what's really going on. And that's when I really started writing down some real stuff. And I just want to say to the newcomer, you'll never have to use anybody. You'll never have to use. Just stick and stay no matter what. Because I'm telling you, I ain't got but I'm finna come up on 3 years in 1 week. And 1 week I'm gonna have 3 years. It ain't nothing. Nobody can push me out the door. I came in here fighting. I've been arguing in meetings and everything. But I came back and apologized to the meeting, said I'm sorry. Because my sponsor said, that's what I had to do. Because I need God, and I did it. She said, you're going to have to start acting like you got sin. You ain't on the street no more. I'm like, okay. And I go back and I apologize. I didn't argue with her. Because y'all don't help me. Y'all people don't know. And I done got so many hugs, I don't even know y'all. But when y'all say, hey, give me a hug, I be like, okay, yeah. And you do get a feeling from that. I do. I'm going to say I do. Every person don't hug me since I've been here. It's just, it's a feeling that you never forget. I bless. Come on. And you, sir, right here. What's your name? Jimmy, I like the way you was in here cheering. Wasn't that you? I see, I don't even know you ain't familiar. I be listening when I come up in here. Yeah. I was just telling my friend right there, girl, there he is right there. He had me rolling. He said he was mixed max family and all kind of stuff going on. But he saved people. And I want to thank you for keeping the door open for me, all y'all. Yeah. Thanks for letting me share.
My name's Ruben. I'm an addict. You know, I said I wasn't gonna say nothing, man, because you know, I spoke last year, man, and this year I came to just listen, man. You know, and they kept asking me, you know, are you gonna do a workshop? And I said, no, man, I'm gonna let somebody else, you know, get up there, man, and share. You know what I'm saying? And my sponsor said, when Narcotics Anonymous calls, man, you step up, no matter what, man. You know, because Narcotics Anonymous saved our life, man. Somewhere in the literature, man, it talks about today, I believe that a person who is clean and who has not worked the steps can be as possibly as dangerous as somebody using, man. You know what I'm saying? See, when you take some of these people's lives in your hand and you ain't got shit to give them, you need to leave them motherfuckers alone, man. And let somebody give them some real hope in here, man. Not all that bullshit that we think we know. You know what I'm saying? We done fucked a lot of people up with the shit we think we know. You know, telling them do this, do that, man. My sponsor just suggests to me. He don't tell me to do shit. He gives me suggestions, man. You know what I'm saying? It's times, man, where we want to tell people what to do around here, man. We ain't got that power to tell no motherfucker what to do, man. Shit. Sometimes I don't want to do shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to work the steps, man. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I don't even want to come to conventions, man. You know what I'm saying? I just want to stay home, man. You know? Hey, man, when I first came to this convention some years ago, somebody told me, hey, go to that convention, you'll like it. I loaded up my car with suits, alligator shoes, and I met, and then I seen a dude out there on a Harley, man, named Jim, wherever the Jim down, and I said, no, this ain't even, wait a minute. Somebody done sent me to the wrong place. I went up to Jim. I said, listen, man, I'm looking for a convention called We Grow With Love. He said, you're here. And I called the dude back and I said, man, I can't believe you done sent me up there. and he told me, man, to just stay there for the whole weekend, see how I like. He said, if you don't like, don't go back. I've been coming back ever since, man. You know, somebody told somebody, all you're going to do is go look at a tree. It's a lot of motherfuckers they could wish they could look at that tree back there. You know, it's a lot of motherfuckers that wish they can be here, man. You know, I just lost a partner with 24 and a half years clean, man. From diabetes, from kidney failure. But he said one thing, I'm going to die clean, no matter what, man. I lost a brother in this process in 2005 from a heroin overdose. And I ain't find it necessary to use, man. You know what I'm saying? The disease don't discriminate. You know? When we sit around here, we want to feed people all this shit we think we know. Man, we don't know a motherfucking thing. If I know so much, what the fuck am I doing here? You know, if I know so much, why do I still got to come to meetings, man, after 11 and a half years clean? You know, if I know so much, why do I still got to write the steps for the 5th time, man? You know, I told my sponsor's supposed to come up here, and I said, hey, man, we've been over the steps 4 times already, man. He said, just do it again. I said, so I got to go back through this book again, man? You know, damn, can I take a break? The disease don't take no break. You know, the disease waiting on our asses, man. You know what I'm saying? It's people in my life, man, that ain't even in this program. You know, I took a test the other day at work, right? Cause I take them tests, man. You know, if you ain't taking no tests because you scared of the result, you bullshitting yourself. You know what I'm saying? I take tests, man. You know, and his test came back with leukemia, man. You know, and mine didn't. You know, and when I went to see him in the hospital, he said, "Well, why are you here? You got a doctor's appointment?" I said, "Hell no, I'm here to see you." You know what I'm saying? And I had just worked 16 hours, 7 days a week. And I said, "No, I'm here to see you, man." He said, "That says a lot, man." And he started crying and shit because, look, man, in 2006, I was in a wheelchair with never, ever having the possibility of ever walking again. And some told me, "What are you going to do different?" Around here bullshitting, lying and shit. And I said, "You know what, God, if you help me this time, I'll make sure I help the next person." And, man, I took one step, 2 steps, all the way to 12, man. And, you know, I'm walking, man. So I believe in helping people in this program, man. You know, my sponsor come in last night, 12 midnight. I was asleep, man, because, you know, I'm 42 years old, man. You know, I can't do what I used to do. You know what I'm saying? And he said, "I just want to thank you for telling me to come here. This is really nice, man." You know what I'm saying? Helping somebody, man. You know what I'm saying? When he said, I said, "Okay, that's cool. Turn the light off. I want to go to bed." You know what I'm saying? But if that keeps him coming back, man, you know, if helping somebody, man, and letting them know what to do in this program, man, you know what I'm saying? You know, help them, man. You know, we didn't get all this shit we got on just by sitting here. We had to come here and help them, motherfucker. Somebody help me. You know, somebody, hey, man, I got clean in Gary, Indiana, where I live at. And the facility I got clean would always say, "Let them share. Don't say shit to them. Just let them keep talking. And whatever comes out of his mouth, that's cool. Just don't let them get high." You know, I had the police called on me in meetings. You know, this was a couple months ago. I swung at a dude in a meeting because he was talking crazy, man. You know, I stand on Narcotics Anonymous. I believe in this program, man. You know what I'm saying? And I swung at the dude. They called the police on me, man. You know, but that's cool. You know, I didn't do nothing out the ordinary because, you know what? I get honest about my shit. You know, it's when you don't get honest in here. When you come here and act like ain't shit wrong in your life. You know, everything just fine. You a motherfucking lie. Tell the truth on that disease. Shit, there's a lot of shit wrong in our lives, man. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of, look, man, my mother 84 years old, man. 85. You know, and I be with her as much as possible. You know, and she told me, man, that the only dream she ever wanted, man, for me to be clean, man. You know, I'm clean, man. If she leave today, man, she gonna take a dream with her, man. This ain't no theory. This ain't no motherfucking make-believe story, man. This is reality here, man. You know, they always say, if you don't think clean time mean nothing, go back out there and bring your ass back and see what it mean then. You think it don't mean shit? Go you. Hey, I ain't going no motherfucking way. You know what I'm saying? If I gotta sit back there in them spiders and them that stinky ass well water to stay clean, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I got cologne to go over that shit. I keep coming back.
Okay, that's all the time we have for sharing.